Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today let's analyze the history of Indian aesthetics. The history of Indian aesthetics. Indian aesthetics is the philosophical and critical study of beauty, artistic expression, emotion, that is rasa, suggestion, that is dhwani, and the function of art, especially poetry, theatre and dance in Indian culture. Originating from Vedic hymns and refined over centuries through Sanskrit treatises, Indian aesthetics evolved through systematic philosophical schools between 2nd century BCE and 17th century AD. Unlike many Western traditions that separate form and content, Indian aesthetics generally integrates emotion, ethics, spirituality, and social values. Now let's analyze the core theoretical concepts in Indian aesthetics. First one, rasa, that is aesthetic sentiment. Introduced by Bharata in Natya Shastra. Rasa is the aesthetic flavor or emotional essence relished by the audience. Developed fully by Abhinavagupta, who connected it with a transcendental experience. The 9 rasas or navarasas are Sringara, that is love, Hasya, laughter, Karuna, compassion, Raudra, that is anger, Veera, that is heroism, Bhayanaka, fear, Bibhatsa, that is disgust, Adbhuta, that is wonder, and Shanta, that is peace. The next category is bhava, that is emotion or state. Precursor to rasa, emotions presented in a drama or poetry that evoke rasa in the audience. It is classified as sthayi bhava, that is permanent emotion, vyabhikari bhava, that is transitory emotion, then vibhava, that is determinant, and anubhava, that is consequent. The next is dhwani or suggestion, developed by Ananthavardhana in his work Dhanyaloka. Dhwani is the power of suggestion in a poetic language where it transcends literal and a metaphorical meaning. 3 types of dhwanis are the Vastu dhwani, that is suggestion of idea, Alankara dhwani, that is suggestion through figure, then Rasa dhwani, that is suggestion of aesthetic mood. The next is Alankara or poetic ornamentation. Figures of speech and stylistic embellishments like a simile, that is upama, and a metaphor, that is rupaka, pun, that is slesha, etc. Emphasized by early aestheticians like Bhamaha and Dante. The next is Vakruti, that is oblique expression, introduced by Kuntaka in the work Vakruti Jivita. It focuses on a poetic beauty derived from creative deviation in language and expression. Vakrata or twist occurs at a multiple levels: phonetic, lexical, grammatical, sentential, contextual, and a compositional. The next is Ausitya or propriety or fitness, developed by Kshementra in Ausitya Vikare Karka. Belief that all poetic elements must be appropriate to the context, theme, character, and setting. Incongruity ruins rasa, while proper ausitya enhances it. Now let's analyze the key aestheticians and their theories. First of all, Bharata, 2nd century BCE, 2nd century CE. Work Natya Shastra. Contributions include, is the father of Indian dramaturgy and aesthetics. Bharata proposed the rasa theory, the central idea of aesthetic experience. He identified 8, later expanded into 9 rasas, including Srinkara, love, Hasya, laughter, Karuna, compassion, Raudra, anger, Veera, heroism, Bhayanaka, fear, Bibhatsa, disgust, Adbhuta, wonder, and later Shanta, that is peace. Bharata also discussed the bhavas, that is emotions, abhinaya, that is expression, anga and swatika, elements of performance. The next person is Bhamaha. Bhamaha, time period is 6th century CE, that means AD. Work is Kavyalankara. His contributions include, he belonged to the Alankara school, emphasized on poetic ornaments. He defined poetry as a combination of rasa and alankaras. He gave early definitions of kavya or poetry as a vakyam rasatmakam kavyam. Then Dantin. Dantin lived during 6th to 7th century AD. And Dantin's work is Kavya Darsha, that is mirror of poetry. Contributions include, is also part of Alankara school, but differed slightly from Bhamaha. Dantin proposed the concept of gunas, that is qualities, of poetry like slesha, prasada, etc. Dantin saw poetry as language with a clarity and a beauty, with the alankaras as its decorations. Next we have Vamana. Vamana's timeline is 8th century AD. Wrote the work Kavyalankara Sutra Vritti. His contributions include, Vamana introduced the Riti school of aesthetics. He saw style, that is Riti, as the soul or Atma of poetry. He proposed a Varna, that is diction, and a Riti, that is style, as essential elements. Next we have Anandavardhana, lived during the 9th century AD. His work is Dvanyaloka. Anandavardhana's contributions include, he is the founder of the Dvani school, that is the theory of suggestion. He introduced Dvani or suggestion as the soul of poetry beyond the literal and figurative meanings. Anandavardhana identified 3 types of Dvani: Vastava or realistic, Alankara or figurative, and a Rasadvani, that is aesthetic. He emphasized the Rasadvani as the highest poetic expression. Next we have Abhinavagupta, who lived during the 10th or 11th century AD. His work is Abhinava Bharati, that is commentary on Natya Shastra. Then another work, that is Lochana, that is a commentary on Dvanyaloka. Abhinavagupta is a Kashmiri philosopher, aesthete, and Shiva metaphysician. He integrated rasa and Dvani into a unified theory of aesthetic experience. Expanded on Shantarasa as the culmination of all aesthetic experiences. He defined a rasa as universalized emotion, an empathetic, blissful aesthetic realization. Next we have Kundaka. Kundaka, 10th century AD, work is Vakroti Jivitam. He developed the Vakroti or obliqueness theory, asserted that poetic language must be creatively twisted or deviant from ordinary speech. He saw poetry as special due to its unusual expression, that is Vakrata. Next we have Mahima Bhatta, lived during the 11th century AD. The work is, Mahima Bhatta's work is Vyakti Viveka, a strong critic of Anandavardhana's Dwani theory. He rejected suggestion as an independent power, upheld Abhidha and a Lakshana, or his denotation and indication. He promoted a more rational linguistic approach to aesthetics. Next we have Mammata. Mammata lived during 11th or 12th century AD. Work is Kavya Prakasha. He synthesized the earlier theories like Rasa, Dwani, Alankara, Vriti, etc. into a comprehensive framework. His work became a standard textbook for centuries on Sanskrit poetics, emphasized that Kavya must both delight and instruct. Next we have Jagannatha Pandita Raja, lived during 17th century AD. His work is Rasa Gangadhara, last major Sanskrit aesthete before colonial interruption. He proposed the Rasaswata, that is aesthetic relish, as an experience akin to Brahmananda, that is bliss of the absolute. He blended aesthetics with Vedantic philosophy, art as a path to the absolute. Now let's analyze the major concepts in Indian aesthetics. Rasa, that is emotional flavor or aesthetic essence. Bhava, rasa transformation. Bhava, that is emotion or states that will lead to rasa. Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyavichari Bhava. Then Dwani, that is suggestion, the power of indirect meaning. Then a Vakroti means artistic deviation in language. Then Ausitya means property or contextual appropriateness in a poetic expression. Then Alankara, that is poetic figures and ornaments like a simile, metaphor, etc. Then Riti or style, that is the manner in which poetic language is presented. Now let's be once more familiar with the schools of Indian aesthetics, or also called darshanas. Rasa school, mainly by Bharata and Abhinavagupta. Alankara school, Bamaha and Dantin. Riti school, Vamana. Dwani school, Anandavardhana, then Abhinavagupta. Vakroti school, Kundaka. Ausitya school, Kshemendra. Rejectionist or anti-Dwani school, Mahima Bhatta. Now the impact and legacy of the ancient Indian aestheticians. Influenced classical Sanskrit literature, South Indian classical arts, Indian theatre, especially Kathakali and Kudiyattam. The Rasa theory continues to influence Indian cinema, dance and aesthetics. Indian aesthetics aligns with spiritual philosophy, particularly Advaita Vedanta and Shaivism. Many of these ideas were reinterpreted in modern Indian literary criticism, example by Ananta Kumaraswamy, Kapila Vatsyayan, etc.